2020. It's been a year none of us will forget, as much as we might like to. And when Next Avenue invited you, our readers, to share your stories, we were overwhelmed by the sheer number of responses. We were moved to hear how you've been finding inspiration, how your lives are changing, and what wisdom you have for us as we learn to move forward together in these challenging times. So to honor that, this is Next Avenue, telling our stories.
My name is Stephanie Bray, and my essay, A Heart is Strongest in the Broken Places, comes from a very vulnerable place and period of time. Not only are we in the middle of a pandemic, but we also experienced a great amount of social unrest after the death of George Floyd. And so this essay came to me and was really put on my heart because of the pain and the sadness of that time. But it was also a recognition for me that tomorrow is not promised to you and that we have to live every day as if it's our last. And that's especially true of those of us who are over the age of 50, like me, and who are going through the many changes that we do as we age. But I wanted to remind myself that I'm strong and that I will always be strong. And so my essay, A Heart is Strongest in the Broken Places, speaks to that. Here's my essay, A Heart is Strongest in the Broken Places. I'm prescribing you a statin. It'll protect your heart, the doctor said during our telemedicine visit. Thanks to COVID-19, the visit had been long overdue. She went over all my test results with me, pointing out the numbers that were cause for concern. A high blood sugar level that put me on the cusp of diabetes, a slightly elevated cholesterol level, combined with my family's medical history, both made me more likely to have a stroke or heart attack if I wasn't careful. I want you to live a long, healthy life, so make sure you take it once a day. Most folks take it before they go to bed, she said before we signed off. I fully intend to ride this body until the wheels fall off, I said with a laugh, and I was off to the pharmacy. As I stood in the socially distanced line to pick up my prescription, a sudden sadness came over me. I fought back tears as I listened to the pharmacist explain the medication's side effects. I blamed my sadness on not being emotionally ready to accept that I was getting older. Plus, I hadn't yet fully come to terms with the many ways that my 55-year-old body was changing. The effects of perimenopause were not for the faint of heart. There was certainly nothing I could do about my genetics. I did hate that time seemed to be getting ahead of the things I had yet to do in my life. This is what I told myself I had to change. Protect your heart, echoed in my head for the rest of the day. That evening, I cooked dinner for my husband and me, mindful of the amount of salt I was using, how many servings of vegetables I was eating, and how much wine I was drinking. Bedtime came, and it was also time to take my first dose of the stat. The 10 o'clock news was on in our bedroom. Coverage of protesters marching in cities all over the world dominated the news hour. Then the clip of the police officer's knee on George Floyd's neck as he cried out for his mother was on the screen again. Tears ran down my cheeks as I watched, and I began to sob. I realized what protect your heart really meant to me. I looked at the little pill that the doctor said would keep my heart beating the way it should, and I wished that it could prevent the heartbreak I felt too. It was a silly thought, silly because a broken heart in response to what happened to George Floyd and so many others who looked like me meant that such a thing is wrong and should never happen. As a Black woman whose heart is strongest in the broken places, I wiped my tears and took my statin, protecting my heart the only way that I could.
This essay is part of Telling Our Stories, a series featuring the voices of Next Avenue readers, with support from Aroha Philanthropies. To hear more stories and to learn more about us, visit nextavenue.org. Telling Our Stories is a production of Twin Cities PBS.